everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live with John Schneider and James Stevens.
Welcome to everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live. I'm John Schneider from the Saturday Night Network.
And I'm James Stevens, and thank you for hanging with us as we check out each season's cast members, the sketches, characters, and backstage stories that have made SNL a television institution.
So here's everything you need to know about Season 10 of Saturday Night Live. By the time Season 9 ended, it was pretty clear that executive producer Dick Ebersol and producer Bob Tischler had kept Saturday Night Live afloat. SNL had seen the departure of the show's biggest star when Eddie Murphy left for Hollywood the previous spring. Joe Piscopo had decided not to return for another season, while Robin Duke, Brad Hall, and Tim Kazurinsky were let go, as Ebersol decided to move the show once again in a different direction. Rather than introducing comedy newcomers, the decision was made to hire some well-known talent. Billy Crystal, already a two-time Season 9 host, joins the cast. With SCTV having just ended its run, 34-year-old Martin Short agrees to join the cast after the assurance that he will be joined by other established performers. Following the recent success from This Is Spinal Tap, 36-year-old Christopher Guest and SNL Season 5 cast member Harry Shearer are added to the cast. Rounding out the new additions to the cast are 30-year-old Rich Hall from Virginia, best known for his work on ABC's live late-night comedy show Fridays, and HBO's sketch comedy series Not Necessarily the News, and 34-year-old New Zealander Pamela Stevenson from the British sketch comedy show Not the 9 O'Clock News.
Returning to the show were cast members Jim Belushi, Mary Gross, Gary Kroger, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Joining the writing staff for Season 10 was Larry David, a New York City-based stand-up comic and regular performer on ABC's Fridays. Prior to the premiere, several pre-tape sketches were produced, and throughout the season we will see a continued reliance on short-filmed pieces as Dick Ebersol felt that the future of the show may live in focusing more on pre-tapes.
Hey, you. I know you. I know you.
Other notable plans included sending Rich Hall on the road to cover the 1984 election, Saturday Night News being split into smaller segments throughout the show, a mid-February 10th anniversary special featuring the return of SNL's original cast, and producing several episodes without an official host. With higher profile cast members, Ebersol intended to have those cast members, such as Billy Crystal and Martin Short, provide the monologue that had traditionally been reserved for the host.
The 10th season of Saturday Night Live premiered on October 6, 1984, with musical guest Thompson Twins and without a credited host. The distinction of having no host adds to the experimental feeling of this episode, including a pre-recorded cold open and the debut of a fun but bizarre opening montage featuring giant cockroaches and flying hot dogs. In the premiere episode, Saturday Night News is split into two sections and anchored by Billy Crystal playing Fernando.
I would rather look good than to feel good.
And a report by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. This episode contains a fan-favorite short film, Synchronized Swimming.
Oh, it's not going to be easy. Officially, it's got, like zero acceptance.
I don't swim.
Lawrence doesn't swim. So, no, of course not. Nobody is just going to walk up and hand us a gold medal, especially since men's synchro isn't even in the '88 Olympics yet.
But that's okay, because we could use the time. Because I'm not that strong a swimmer.
We also see the debut of Martin Short's hyperactive man-child character, Ed Grimley, which had originated on SCTV.
Oh, and to get to meet Pat Sajak, I suppose you could do better than that, no way. Because it seems to me that he would be a pretty decent guy, I must say.
Mr. Baseball himself, Bob Uecker, hosts the second show.
What better a guy to have here tonight during World Series week than Mr. Baseball?
The episode sees the debut of SNL's first recurring animated piece with Tippy Turtle, voiced by Christopher Guest.
We've got people to annoy.
And host Bob Uecker would anchor this edition of Saturday Night News.
Bitchy, arrogant, and crabby.
The next show is hosted by Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Sorry, the question is moot.
An episode that is often remembered for a gag that involves Reverend Jackson praising the show for hiring so many black people.
This program employs so many black people, gives so many black people a chance. Yeah. Where's the buzz coming from?
Oh my, he's coming into the control room. Everybody out. Let's go.
My man, excuse me, Hank. Hey, just what?
The episode also offers up the debut of Willie and Frankie, performed by Chris Guest and Billy Crystal, friends whose conversations inevitably arrive at detailed accounts of painful self-abuse.
You know what I hate is when I take my lip, and I pull it out, and I put it right on a blotter,
Yeah. You take a staple gun and staple it
right
into the
down to the desk. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate when I do that.
And once again, our host would serve as anchor for the Saturday Night News segment.
Future cast member Michael McKean then hosts a notable show,
If I don't deserve your respect, at least I deserve your attention.
where a fictitious American folk trio is featured. The Folksmen, consisting of Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, and host Michael McKean, appear in a short film.
You know the train is going to crash into the mine.
If you know what's going to happen, why sing the song?
Well, you know, but that's like saying when you go and see a movie like Moby Dick, you know he's big.
And give a live performance as well.
There's a puppy in the parlor and a skillet on the stove and a smelly old blanket and a Navajo robe. There's chicken on the table, but you gotta say grace. There's always something cooking at old Joe's place.
In 2003, the Folksmen would be featured in the mockumentary A Mighty Wind. Season 9 host Edwin Newman returns to the show to anchor the week's broadcast of Saturday Night News.
If I tell a joke about Mr. Reagan and a joke about Mondale, and only one of those jokes gets a laugh, it might affect the outcome of the election. And frankly, for one joke, I don't want that responsibility.
A notable edition of Fernando's Hideaway finds an NBC cameraman filling in for an absent Barry Manilow.
What is your definition of love?
It's very hard to express, Fernando. I try to say it in my music.
And an SNL fashion report has Rich Hall reporting as David Byrne.
You may ask yourself, why such a big suit?
The host of SNL's very first episode makes his long-awaited return.
Hey, I hosted the very first Saturday Night Live 9 years ago, and they told me if I did a real good job, they'd have me back.
And this time around, George Carlin will actually appear in a few sketches.
Hey, what happened to the Liberty Bell? You had it for a while. It was okay one week, the next week it's cracked. What happened? What'd you do? Drop the bell?
The episode also brings the debut of two Martin Short characters, the eccentric lounge singer Jackie Rogers Jr.
You remind me so much of your father, the late Jackie Rogers Sr.
Well, we are related.
and songsmith Irving Cohen.
Give me a C, a bouncy C. All right.
Mary Gross and Julia Louis-Dreyfus introduced their talk show duo, Chi-Chi and Consuela.
I want to know, who's your favorite Ghostbuster?
Oh, that's hard. I like the black one.
The black one? He didn't do nothing.
But Chi-Chi, he was Ghostbuster.
He didn't do nothing.
No. They just didn't give him enough to do, that's all. He would have been great Ghostbuster if they had given him great Ghostbuster job and said, go do it and be successful with it.
Another notable segment includes a filmed piece profiling a controversially intense chess coach played by Jim Belushi.
The high school chess coach.
Corner rook 4, corner rook 4.
Donald Graff of Rockville Center High, dedicated to turning raw kids into chess champions.
You call that Kathleen? Come on, why don't you just give him the king? Give it to him!
The next two episodes are each hosted by an Ed. First, Ed Asner hosts.
I've come to get you out. The copter's on the roof. Let's go.
An episode that debuts yet another Martin Short character, the chain-smoking lawyer Nathan Thurm.
You seem defensive.
I'm not being defensive. You're the one who's being defensive. Why is it always the other person who's being defensive? You ever asked yourself that? Why don't you ask yourself that?
And Asner would serve the anchor role on Saturday Night News. The first show in December would be hosted by Ed Begley Jr., an episode that would finally establish this season's permanent anchor for the news segment, Christopher Guest.
The president is not Gaga.
We also see the debut of an impression Billy Crystal had been performing for years, professional boxer Muhammad Ali, who happened to be a close personal friend of Billy's.
I am still the greatest of all time.
Well, that kind of talk will get you nowhere, mister.
The episode also features one of the few Larry David sketches to make it to air during his time as a writer at SNL.
And what's this thing?
Oh, that's a stool I built into the elevator.
A stool?
Yeah, for the elevator man.
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd prefer you take it out.
Appearing as the last sketch of the night, Elevator Stool would later be adapted for Seinfeld when a security guard chair subplot was used for the episode The Maestro.
Take a look at lot 36, Ringo Starr.
The following week would be hosted by Ringo Starr, the only Beatle ever to host SNL.
He was for 9 years the drummer with the Beatles and performed with them on other albums and tours. And as you can see, he's in very good condition. And I, for one, would like to open the bidding at $75,000. Now, do I hear 75?
It has been reported that after a particularly rough table read, much of the entire show had to be rewritten after Wednesday night.
I'm a bit nervous, but I'll get by with a little help from my friends. All you gotta do is act naturally.
It's also worth mentioning that this episode did not include a Saturday Night News segment. The Ringo Starr episode would also mark the last we see of Jim Belushi, at least for a while. Allegedly, a few days after the broadcast, Belushi's behavior was disruptive to the point that Ebersol was forced to fire Jim.
The 1984 Christmas episode brings the return of Eddie Murphy to host for the second time, his first since leaving the show the previous spring. Many of Eddie's most popular characters would make another appearance, including Buckwheat, Mr. Robinson,
Cabbage Patch Dog,
and Gumby.
I am Gumby, damn it!
In the episode, a short film, White Like Me, remains a classic example of white privilege through the lens of satire.
What are you doing?
I'm buying this newspaper.
That's all right. There's nobody around. Go ahead, take it. Take it. Go ahead. Take it. Yeah, take it.
Slowly I began to realize that when white people are alone, they give things to each other for free.
The episode marks the last time Eddie Murphy would appear on an episode of SNL for 35 years. He would return to host in 2019. Kathleen Turner would host the first episode of 1985.
Have you ever been with a multi-orgasmic woman?
The episode called for magician Doug Henning to be played by both Martin Short
There's always room for beauty in the world of magic, Joe.
and Rich Hall.
Isn't it so amazing that there are two Doug Hennings on this show?
This show is probably best known for a blooper where Martin Short knocks Billy Crystal's wig out of place, causing Julia Louis-Dreyfus to break. When his castmates attempt to fix his wig, Billy can't help but laugh.
I'll see you later.
Backstage tensions continue to rise as reportedly Harry Shearer's relationship with the show became so toxic that Dick Ebersol made the decision to let Harry go after this episode. Shearer would, however, continue to be credited in episodes for the remainder of the season.
Till then, strictly from Blackwell, bye-bye.
Roy Scheider hosts the next episode,
Pepperidge Farm doesn't make this many turnovers.
which marks Jim Belushi's return to the cast. After being let go the previous month, Belushi had reportedly begged Ebersol for his job back. Now with the dismissal of Harry Shearer, Ebersol was inclined to give Jim another chance. Next, we have Detroit Lions defensive tackle Alex Karras host,
I'm going to be very funny.
with musical guest Tina Turner, who makes a sketch cameo playing Ed Brimley's neighbor, Miss Malone.
You like your music loud, don't you? Well, yes, when I'm practicing my triangle, I do tend to turn up the music a little bit loud.
Frequent special guest Harry Anderson would host the next show,
Come on, you don't work, you don't live.
which features a unique grouping of cameos. When Buddy Young Jr., Billy Crystal's Borscht Belt insult comic, leaves the Saturday Night News desk to go into the audience and banter with Waylon Jennings,
Jesse James, am I right?
Johnny Cash,
Johnny, from the bottom of my heart, it's over. You know what I'm saying?
and Christopher Reeve.
Look, what do you got, kryptonite in your earrings there?
During the Goodnights, Harry Anderson brings Carol Burnett to the stage, introducing her as
One of the reasons that we're all in this business is right here. Would you come on up, Carol?
Actress Pamela Sue Martin hosts the next episode. A rare occasion, the show would launch straight into the opening montage without any cold open. The episode also marks the American television debut for musical guest The Power Station, featuring band member Lenny Pickett on saxophone. Of course, Pickett would become a key member of the SNL band when Lorne Michaels returns to the show in the fall. On March 2nd, 1985, Billy Crystal would host a special episode.
It's the Saturday Night Live Film Festival.
The SNL Film Festival would feature many of the short films and commercial parodies from seasons 7 through 10. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert would review the films as they aired during the show.
I would rather see Fernando do an interview than Barbara Walters do an interview.
Let me make sure I hear you correctly now. You're saying that he's marvelous.
Also making an appearance, John Candy and Eugene Levy stop by to promote their hosting next week with musical guest Hall & Oates.
We just thought we'd come by and see a couple movies, that's all.
Wait, honey, listen, why don't you stick around for next week's show? We got Hall & Oates, the musical guest.
That show, however, would ultimately be canceled due to a 2-week Writers Guild of America strike. Aside from Billy Crystal, the only live appearance of the rest of the cast would occur right before the Goodnights, where they plug next week's ill-fated show.
Join us next week when our guest hosts will be John Candy and Eugene Levy, and our special musical guests will be Hall & Oates.
I am the world. I am the children.
Following the writer's strike, season 10 would resume with an episode hosted jointly by Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. The episode feels a bit like a WrestleMania promo.
WrestleMania, Madison Square Garden, be there.
And does not include a Saturday night news segment. Christopher Reeve would serve as the host of the season's penultimate episode.
I'm also available for children's birthday parties of up to 10 kids.
Providing us with a glimpse at the Superman auditions.
Action.
Careful, Clark. He has a gun.
Stand back, Lois. I'll protect you.
Broke the window.
Careful, Clark. He has a gun.
Stand back, Lois. I'll protect you.
Careful, Clark. He has a gun.
Stand back, Lois. I'll protect you.
The episode also brings us another season highlight, the now classic
Okay, this is the thing you eat at the movies. It comes in kernels. You heat them up in oil.
Popcorn.
Right. This is a little hot, spicy number.
Rita Moreno.
No, babe. It comes from a cucumber. They let it sit in a barrel with its brother so it becomes something else.
A caterpillar.
Let's move on. This is an après dinner kind of thing. Dessert, 3 layers, icing on top.
Japuti.
No, babe. Say you're in heaven. You're flying around. You got a little halo. You're
dead.
Yeah, but you did a lot of good stuff. You're
blessed.
Yeah, but you got the wings, the halo. You're going from cloud to cloud.
I don't know. What is it?
Next. This is...
Chocolate babies?
Right.
Sports broadcaster Howard Cosell, host of ABC's short-lived Saturday Night Live, would host the season finale.
I'm waited 10 years to do this. These are great kids.
The conclusion of season 10 closes the curtain on Dick Ebersol's run as executive producer and marks the end of the road for cast members Jim Belushi, Billy Crystal, Mary Gross, Christopher Guest, Rich Hall, Gary Kroeger, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Martin Short, and Pamela Stevenson. NBC president Brandon Tartikoff would ask Ebersol what it would take for him to stay another year. It's been reported that Ebersol, not knowing if he even wanted to commit to another season, considered an entirely pre-recorded version of the show, as well as reimagining the format to include a permanent host in Billy Crystal. Both Tartikoff and Ebersol admit neither scenario would be Saturday Night Live. So Tartikoff goes back to the only person he believes can save the show, Lorne Michaels. Lorne had been working in Hollywood over the past 5 years, and after producing NBC's The New Show, a primetime sketch show of pre-recorded material that was canceled after only 9 episodes, he was skeptical about returning to NBC. It's when Tartikoff tells Michaels that if he doesn't want the gig, SNL would be canceled after 10 years, that Lorne begins to have a change of heart. Ultimately, Lorne agrees to return to the show that he created, but he'll need time to turn it over entirely. And so, the summer of 1985 would be spent scouting for the talent that would mark the anticipated return of Lorne Michaels and his Saturday Night Live. If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel below, and follow us on social media to see posts on all of the sketches you need to watch from Season 10 of Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live Season 10 is available now on Peacock. For all of us here at the Saturday Night Network, I'm James Stevens.
And I'm John Schneider. Good night.